vengeance against the Dark Lords who had wronged him, and those that tasted the bite of his sword named him the Doomslayer.
Hi! I just woke up from a fucking nap, bro, and I am not all here. Not that I usually am. Hello, hello. Did I take a nap at like 5 p.m. and I woke up at 7 p.m.? Yes, I did. Listen. I want to let go. I want to let go, and it reels me back in like a fucking fish on a fishing line. Listen. Copium has been sniffed. It has been, fucking consumed. And I don't know. I was skimming through the fucking Reddit, and it's absolutely... Look, I'm just gonna show you, okay? It's easier to just fucking show you. It's just weird, okay? Let me read you. I didn't know this because I was busy doing my own fucking thing. But, by the way, I think I've told you, December 4th is my namesake day. It's Saint Barbara's Day in Spain. So we celebrate that in my family and me. I didn't know it was Dragon Age unofficial day or whatever the fuck they're calling it or whatever. Apparently it was. And there was this developer asked me anything, which doesn't fucking translate into ask me actually anything. It translates into ask me very specific questions. And we all know that, obviously, okay? Happy Dragon Age Day. John Epler and Corinne Bush are here to answer your questions for the next 2 hours. Looking forward to chatting with everyone. And the guidelines are keep it civil. Top level comments need to be questions. If not, we will likely not respond so that we can get to as many questions as possible. Please keep your comments to 3 questions maximum and try to keep it to 1 comment. But whatever. Did you ask anything? No, I didn't even know this wasn't, this existed. So, fuck that. But hey. Yeah. There's a lot of fucking copium. There's a lot of fucking just wanted to bring awareness and to bring a spotlight onto Dragon Age because it's dying and they need to boost the sales for the end of the year. We're gonna go through the fucking questions and I'm gonna try not to rage too much. I don't know how long it's gonna take me to actually lose my mind. We'll get there, but hello, hi, happy Friday. Is it Friday? Friday, yeah, it's Friday to everyone. I have snacks and I consumed snacks prior to this stream, so I'm in a tamed mood, if you would. So I don't think that's gonna like the snacks are gonna keep the rage at bay for Your name is Barbara. Yes, it's Barbara. It's not Barbara. Okay. As always, please follow on both social medias. Like YouTube and Twitch if you can. Subscribe on both. That's not if you can. Give me all your money. We're not gonna fucking. What you mean is dying? Yeah. It's they're dragging the corpse through the streets. Okay, let's go. These are the questions. Let's see how many they answer. Does Solas know about the executors, and will he ever appear in the future games? What future games? First of all, you guys are fucking crazy. Oh, bro, it's happening already. It's happening. Future games, there's not gonna be future games. I would be surprised if bio-ware lasts 5 years. Okay, so we'll see. Was there ever a point that the Inquisitor was considered as the main or secondary protagonist? Most likely not, because, again, this fucking team didn't work, like, side by side, and didn't write and didn't direct Inquisition, so they wouldn't know how to use the Inquisitor as a protagonist. They wouldn't know what to do with them. And they didn't know what to do with the Inquisitor as a cameo, so absolutely not. It was interesting to have a person with knowledge about Solas, a cunning ancient elven god. To track him down, especially when that anonymity did not work in their favor anyway. Solas knew about Rook for a year prior to meeting. Was Rook initially an alias for the Inquisitor? I'm holding it in. This is lame. This is absolutely fucking stupid. It's the reach, you know what I mean? I love when they're trying to give this, like, a depth that doesn't have, and they're trying to give like a way out for the writers and developers when it's not there. I don't know if Trickwix will see this, but I just want to tell you, thank you for writing Solace. No, don't thank him for that. Let's see, and this is by John Epler, who I will remind you, John Epler was creative director for this game, and previously he was a cinematic designer. And he jumped from that to writing characters and directing like parts of this. So Solus knows more about the executors than he lets on. In fact, he knows more about the executors than any other living being, including the other Evanuris. But even when he isn't entirely sure what they're up to or who they actually are, so he doesn't know. Solus knows more about the executors than he lets on, but he doesn't know what they're up to or who they are. So he doesn't know. And that's the fucking thing. These people eat this shit. This steaming pile of shit. They eat it up with a fucking spoon. And a little like napkin tucked in their fucking clothes. So they don't get it smeared everywhere. And they eat this shit up. Oh, bro. Their paths have crossed before, though, beyond the Tivinter Knight story that they briefly show up in. As to whether he appears in, I think it's fair to say Solus' story is done, at least for now. It's the inconsistency, and I can speak about a writing point of view, and it's a lot about making one statement as vague as possible and not really giving anything away. It's like, yeah, he knows about the executors more than anyone else because, fun fact, no one but Solus knows about the executors. But that doesn't mean that he knows a lot. It just means that he's the only one that knows anything at all about them. And then it's like, oh, yeah, Sola's story is over. It's done. But he may appear again. If they like have enough like money to make another game. So it's literally just writing something that's like, well, it's fair to say that it's done because the company's fucking done. But if we have more money and we can make more shitty games and we have to add more cameos to make like the game anything like relevant and people will buy it just to see the old characters, not the new ones because they suck, we might bring him back. I'm trying to read between the lines. It's not even just, you know, like I'm reaching or whatever. It's just the way that these people don't want to dip their toes at all. And they don't want to commit to anything, okay? Even back in early development, the protagonist for this game was always going to be someone other than the Inquisitor. Yes, because you don't know how to use them. You have proved that in Veilguard. I don't recall if in those early days we ever discussed the possibility of bringing them back. The struggle with having the same protagonist game after game is that you really do paint yourself into a corner. Okay? You literally painted yourself into a corner by bringing into the equation a completely soulless and empty and like watered down character when the only character that made sense as the protagonist was the Inquisitor. The way that you wrote Veilguard, the only main character that made any fucking bit of sense to lead that fucking game was the Inquisitor. And because you didn't know what to do with that character, you didn't write it, you didn't put, you know, their fucking storyline together in Inquisition, then you said, no, we cannot, it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work out. So you made a fucking main character yourself, and you absolutely, like, I feel like in an RPG, if you're gonna make a semi-established protagonist as the main character, and then the player can, like, flesh them out, I think it goes to show a lot the depth of your writing capability and your skill. In Origins, it was peak. The hero Ferelden is is a fucking badass. It is what it is. Hawk was an amazing voice protagonist, and Hawk was the fucking blueprint for what in Dragon Age what voice protagonist should have been. The Inquisitor kind of like held their ground in Inquisition. They weren't as interesting as Hawk by any fucking means, but they held their ground, and Rook just fucking, he was the most annoying protagonist we've ever had to be in Dragon Age. And that just goes to show that Rook is just a reflection of not us as an audience, but them as writers and developers. Either it becomes prohibitively expensive to account for branching, or you ultimately underserve that very people you're bringing them back for. Prohibitively expensive to account for branching. And that's one of the fucking reasons why none of your fucking choices mean anything. Because that would have meant that the scope of Veilguard would have been much bigger than it is, and they didn't have the money for it. Rook was always the protagonist, though in the very early days, Rook had a number of other potential monikers, including Shrike and a number of other bird names that I do not remember. Do you remember anything? Were you in the room when this happened? Was the ending showing a cure Nef Belara? With the ending showing a cure Nef Belara, is that implying that the Blight outside of the Fade has been cured? If so, do Wardens no longer hear the calling? And what does that mean? That would make no fucking sense, first of all, because, and I will tell you right now, the Blight that Nef and Belara suffer from is not the same strain as the one that the Wardens have. So it would make no sense that the Wardens are cured from the Blight, because the type of Blight they have, it's not the same as the type of Blight it was spread during the Veilguard. The Wardens now no longer hear the calling, and what does that mean for the Kalshrok dwarves? Especially curious about this since Dragon Age implied the hero of Ferelden was searching for a cure to the calling. They forgot about that. In the concept art book, it seems like there were plans to show us more of Minrath's Tevinter than just Dockdown. Curious to know what changed and if we will ever have the opportunity to return to the other areas. You will never have an opportunity to see anything Dragon Age ever again. I will make sure of that. It's never happening. Let the horse die. It's dead. It's by the side of the road with all their fucking legs broken. It's taking their last fucking breaths of air. Let it die. Please. The Blight is forever changed. Yeah, because you pulled it out of your fucking ass. You didn't know what to do with it. And you had to nerf it to hell and back for you to be able to do anything in Veilguard. Please. It's less perilous and less virulent than it was before. I told you this when I was researching for, my videos and everything. How does it make sense that you are in Veilguard as a developer and a writer, twisting and manipulating the Blight for the Blight with a capital B to become the Blight of all Blights, and you nerf the very thing that has been causing havoc for centuries in the world of Theros? How are you going to make the Blight less perilous and virulent? Why would you do that? Why would Gillinan do that? Why wouldn't they make the Blight worse? And it would have been such an interesting thing that the Wardens, like old Wardens, not the new ones, the old ones, are infected with a different strain of the Blight. And it would have been really interesting to see how the Blight doesn't affect those people. Like they're different or whatever. Like you're gonna make the Darkspawn and the Blight less dangerous? And we're supposed to be like, oh my god, this is it. This is the last stand. Look at that bitch. That is crazy. That you are saying that. Like, bro. Get up. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. This is the Blight where two archdemons are awake at the same time. There's a fucking elven god that can manipulate the Blight at will. And you're gonna make it less virulent and perilous? Why? And whatever motive force was coming through the veil to empower it at the end of the game has been severed. What I mean, whatever motive force. You guys can just say, like, they don't know, obviously. This is something that they were, putting some We call them pinzas. They were like hanging them to dry, like, yeah, we'll go back to this in the next installment of Dragon Age. But that's never gonna happen. So now, you know. That said, it still exists in some form, and not everyone is going to be cured in the same way. It's the way that these people are just yapping. Say it. Say it. It exists in some form. What form? You don't know that. I can tell you 100% that these people don't know what they're talking about. Because they're dancing around the subject. They don't know this information. They were probably gonna like go back to these issues, these plot holes, these questions later on is what they were gonna do, okay? Not everyone is gonna be cured in the same way. How? The Blight has never been able to be cured. Ever. Literally, the Horfelden has been looking for a cure for many, many years with, you know, to no avail. What do you mean in different, you know, they're not gonna be able to be cured in the same way. They're gonna have to, and you're not even bringing one single. God. Do you see the new Kotaku hit piece? Please send it to me. Can you DM me that, Vara? I wanna read it. God. Beyond that, the wardens no longer hear the whisper of the calling, but right at the edges of perception, they're hearing something. What is it? Great question. Yeah, you don't know. You don't know the information. Bro. By the way, if my phone rings, it might be the what you call it? The mailman. With my Christmas tree. Thank you, Vara. Let's see this real quick. The campaign against Avowed reveals the bigotry that fuels the anti-woke. I love that they use big words like a campaign against Avowed. No one is like, they use the same word with Veilguard. No one is, like, we're not an organized fucking strike force, you know what I mean? Vara, Hypnotic, Smash, we're not all in a fucking Discord server, like, plotting how to take companies down from within, you know what I mean? We're not doing that. We're just looking at shit and be like, okay, we're gonna have to talk about this. That's all we're doing. Okay, the campaign against Avowed reveals the bigotry that fuels the anti-woke. In its crusades against Obsidian's action RPG, the anti-DEI mob has given the game away. What are you guys saying? Big words. What? In 2024, there has rarely been a game announced without a small but tiresome vocal group of grifters attempting to whip up a controversy for their social media followers. Someone is about to get kicked out of Kotaku, just like Alisa Mercante was. No matter what the title, that's not true. Marvel Rivals is doing really well, and Mouthwash was also doing pretty well before the co-founders started running their fucking mouths. And no matter who the developer, every announcement is meticulously scrutinized for any faint sign of a thought crime, an element that could be construed by these charlatans as proof of wokeness, something they can decry as a DEI initiative. And then this speculative notion is spun out to followers as the latest attempt to take away your games. The latest target is Avowed, but in picking on it, those running the grift have rather shown their hand. Oh no, guys, you've got me. I don't like bad games. I'm sorry. I don't like bad games. I don't like lazy games and really, really boring and poorly put together games. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to find out through, like, what's his name? John Walker's. Oh no. Like any online scam of any note, it's so brazen that it's only more depressing that it works so well. Someone is upsetting spaghetti that YouTubers and actual gamers are taking over the gaming journalism. And we're actually, like, getting, like, you know, traction and paid for it. Oh no. As much as it might infuriate you that someone you know would fall for a cold caller telling them that they need to send gift certificates to fix an issue with their Windows operation system, it should equally upset you that these legions of people fall for the same woke gaming grift over and over and over. I think it should make you upset that you guys are literally just eating shit over and over and over again and you don't learn your fucking lesson. And we show you proof that the games that we grift about and we rage bait about are literally not commercial successes as people want to like say. They're not good just because people like, you know, in Kotaku and IGN and PC Gamer and whatever give them like amazing scores doesn't mean that the actual people that play them like them. So yeah. But with about the forthcoming Obsidian role-playing game set in the worlds of Pillars of Eternity, the con is so brazenly laid bare. Yes, of course it still works, but it's so much easier to see how. Please tell me what con I'm running, John Walker. The shtick works like this. A game is announced, and because it's 2024, that game may not exclusively focus on a white dude saving the world for the lady in a bikini. Tell me you've never played a fucking game in the past like 20 years for you to tell me. We're grifters if we say a game doesn't look good. We just need to shut up and consume products, apparently. This is a fucking sentence that you thought and wrote down. A game is announced, and because it's 2024, that game may not be exclusively focused on a white dude saving the world for the lady in a bikini. Okay, explain to me why is Indiana Jones failing before release when it's a white dude at the helm of that one? And why is Marvel Rivals actually doing pretty well when there's a very diverse cast of characters in that game? Because again, this is just using keywords, which they love to say, oh, we don't use those words. We don't misuse them. They're using the words racist and grifter interchangeably and bigots because it's the only argument, the only things that they can say. Like, oh, you don't like this? You're ruining this. They're paying me to shield for this. How dare you? And they just like throw, oh, bigotry, grifting, rage baiting, like, bro. Or a sexy lady playing dress up in various bikinis while saving the world. I mean, some still do, but this is an industry that creates games that feature a broad range of characters. That is not true. This is an industry that creates the same fucking characters, and they're usually black women that are criminals for some reason, and they're absolutely fucking obnoxious. That's what you do. You create characters of color that are female, for the most part, and then you make them absolutely fucking hateful and obnoxious, and people hate them. And then you're surprised that, I don't know, like, you just literally create caricatures of people, but we are the bad ones. The grifters recognize this as a useful target for their grift. That is true. Vara and I fucking DM each other like, do you see that? Do you see that? We have to grift. The grifting has to start now before other grifters like Hypnotic get onto the fucking game. And we have to, yeah, we do that. We like lock fucking like a target. And like, this one has to go down. Bro, people were excited. And even in the last Hypnotic stream that I was in, people like Atreus, like Kada, Leon, they were saying how they were actually looking forward about before the whole like Matt Henson like shit, which just goes to show that it doesn't matter how good a product is if the person behind the fucking wheel, or some of them, are just literally spitting in your fucking eye. Yeah, we got a grift, apparently. It is so fucking crazy. That's gonna be the name of our podcast, the Grifty Grift. Bro. We're reclaiming the world. Like, it's ours now. It's just sad. People were actually looking forward to this. And most of us are still gonna play it to show people exactly why we weren't fucking with it. I have been saying multiple times why I didn't care for it. And none of those times I mentioned the pronouns situation, because I genuinely, my first impressions of the game, I didn't even notice the pronouns on the screen. I was just baffled by the ugliness of it all and just the amount of mediocrity that I was seeing in my screen. So, you know. Yeah, the grifter recognizes a useful target for their grift, making claims that the game is artificially altered from what should have been. based on a desire to be perceived as progressive. No one has ever said that in the history of forever. We don't claim that a game is artificially altered. What is he talking about, bro? We look at a game and we say, yeah, that's really bad because of this and this and this. And this is what's going on behind the scenes. So what do you mean that we sit here and we say, like, yes, this game shouldn't have been like this. They change it on purpose. They're doing this. They're turning the fucking frogs gay. They're like, bro, no. We don't fucking like say that this game, like, oh, it changed. It shouldn't have been like this. The queers are doing this again. They're corrupting it with their queerness. No, we know that the game was supposed to be a fucking slop from the beginning. And we are like putting our foot down and saying, hey, we don't want that. Like, you either make good games or we're not buying your fucking product, period. And unfortunately for you guys, there's a very direct line of correlation between having pronouns and focusing on like the most like woke shit in RPGs especially, and their game being shit. Again, if the game was good, like Baldur's Gate, and it still had those aspects of it, although very, very barely there, people wouldn't care and would still like be able to be like, you know what, I don't fucking care about that, and play the game. But there's a direct fucking correlation between the game developers focusing on doing woke stuff to appease a woke like minority, and the game being like logistically in every way, like animation, writing, like the looks of it, the design, to be shit. And we're just seeing patterns. It's like, you know, when you're a child and you are taught to recognize patterns, we're doing that. We're seeing patterns and we're being like, okay, that's not what I want. Stop that. Go back to what you were doing before, and that made good games. Thank you. Like, bro, they're crazy. They're crazy. They then use this to convince large numbers of disaffected young men. Can all the women in chat say hi, please? I want to just prove a point. By the way, I love that it's like, oh, like they're rallying the incels. Like, oh my god, the incels. Oh, would you look at that? Look at all the young men that are saying hi to me. Also, a lot of the people that follow me in Vara and Hypnotic, they're not young men, they're men. Yeah, look at that. Look at the ladies. Would you look at that? Yeah, all my audience is disaffected young men that I'm trying to manipulate into fighting my battles for me. That the world is trying to take away from them their last vestiges of entertainment, which they are. The only place left where they feel represented and prioritized. That is true. It is true. It's not a lie when it's true. It's not a lie when people consistently tell men, and especially like, you know, like, oh, find a fucking hobby, do something, and they do find a hobby, which is gaming, and then people like this take over those spaces and just leave them with nothing. It is a thing that is happening. It is a factual, like, reality that we're all seeing. So shut the fuck up. And again, young men are not allowing other people to play games or enjoy video games. But the problem is, and I've said it all the time, is that you guys hijack spaces that do not belong to you. You hijack IPs and communities that do not belong to you. If you want to form part of an IP in a community that has already been established, you work your way into belonging to that community. You don't expect people to bend over backwards to accommodate you. It doesn't work like that. The world doesn't revolve around you. But these people don't fucking understand that. So yeah, nice. The only hope is to rise up and fight for what's rightfully theirs. And if they like, give some money to the Grifter for a project that never sees daylight. This is literally talking about Grumps. Fucking say his name. Pussies, dude. Has Grumps seen this? This is literally talking about Grumps. They cannot let go of that, bro. They can't. And if you have that fucking bone to pick it with fucking Grumps. Say his name. Has he seen that? I hope that he fucking reacts to that. Except with About, those behind the grift forgot to include a couple of violent stages. They forgot to develop the spurious claims on which to condemn the project. What do you mean? I've said what I'm condemning the project for. Failing to identify something that had been artificially included or an element that had been censored in the name of wokeness. And in doing so, they made incredibly clear what is really at the bottom of all of this: bigotry. This is absolutely like verbal diarrhea. Also, you're literally just saying, oh, like this this is just about Grams, by the way. But they love to just see Grams as like the face for our community, which couldn't be further from the truth. Like, I may agree with some of Grams' takes, but I have my own fucking opinions and I will share them with you. This is literally just about Grams, but they made the fucking mistake of targeting every single grifter. Literally, I would consider myself, wait until people hear this fucking clip without context, a grifter in the sense of like when people call grifters, I believe that they would call me a grifter too, just because I don't fit with their own fucking like pre-established like rules of conduct. So 100% they would consider me a grifter. They have called me a grifter many times. With both Dragon Age and Avowed, I've been saying multiple times, with what I've had, with the footage I had and what I could see in, discern and research for myself, that the games are not good. And again, you can get into the woke aspect of it all you want. And he has pronouns, I don't want to buy it. That's your fucking prerogative. I don't really care. I care that the game is good. I care the games are playable, that are a good fucking time, okay? And this game, the same as Veilguard, it's not looking like a good time. It's looking absolutely mediocre. I've said it multiple times in my videos, in my streams. It doesn't look good. The animations don't look good. The sync, the voice acting in the mouth looks atrocious. The world looks washed out and bare. It just looks very bare bones. I've said it. It looks like it's a placeholder. Like it's already too raw in very, very early stages of development. And that, if that was the case, it would absolve About of many of its flaws. But it's releasing on the 18th of February. So for it to be this fucking raw months before release, it's absolutely unacceptable. And then there's the whole fucking Matt Hansen controversy with developers over and over again just showing how unprofessional they are. You don't have to expect me to be professional in what fucking setting? What job do I have? I'm entertained on the internet. That's what I do. I don't need to, I'm not a game journalist. I'm not employed by a company. I'm not expecting to follow a certain guidelines or rules of conduct. I don't. Okay? So I don't have to follow those patterns. I can get in as many petty ex beefs as I want. I can run my mouth all I want. I don't have to protect anyone's reputation, okay? Matt Hansen does. He works for a company. If he starts talking shit, it reflects on his employers, and that is what it is. So it all adds up. I'm very sorry. It all adds up. The fact that the game looks like it's, it should be in development for another fucking year adds up to the fact that Matt Hansen is running his fucking mouth on the internet and just pissing potential customers off. It adds up to the fucking fact that every single time for the past year that we have seen fucking pronouns on a video game, the game has turned out to be shit, and it's called pattern recognition. This game has all of those things, so it adds up. And you are telling us to be like, oh my god, you have to give them all a chance. You have to pay $70 and give them a chance. If that's your fucking job, it's not anyone's job to do that. Oh, bro, it's getting fucking... I read a little bit of ahead. Around the time of Gamescom this year, the usual people started loudly condemning About as the next piece of woke mind virus at LDEI. Why? What sin had it committed? I just told you. Had a mission leaked in which you're forced to help a gay polycule adopt a cat-identifying trans child in an abortion clinic? Nope, it was this image. It wasn't that image. And even if it was, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It looks like Concord, bro. And the fact that you're trying to do this conspiracy theory of like, oh, grifters are choosing a specific times of the year, you know, to do this. It's like, bro, see? See it? See the intolerable act of evil? No, goodness me. Don't tell me the woke mind virus has got you too. There's no white man. That's not even what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that it looks like fucking Play-Doh. And that's what a lot of people have been saying. That the like first like trailers for Avowed compared to the new ones, it looked like a completely different game. Like design wise, it looks shit. It looks like shit. That's right. This violently racist piece of marketing includes a black woman, a white elf-like woman. You don't even know the name of the race. Neither do I, but you should do your research because you're an actual journalist. A blue man and an ambiguous race dwarf. How more clearly could the developers be saying that it wants this game to be exclusively played during Drag Queen Story Hour at your local library? This man needs to put the fucking alcohol down. What is he smoking? What is this? Honestly, to even notice the fact feels kind of weird. I'm a white guy. I'm a white savior. And I have to use my voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. Let's go. I am a white guy living in a country that's 90% white in an area of the country that's 95% white. And as such, I'm fairly used to seeing people who look like me everywhere I go. But this thought didn't cross my inherently racist mind. Go outside. There's like these things that are green and flutter in the wind, and it's called grass. You get on your fucking hands and knees and you rub your face like a cat against the grass, bro. You need help because, bro, the fact that you're like saying this shit when the most like backlash I've heard about this game, it's because the fucking art director is a complete moron and has been telling people to fuck off, and if you don't like it, don't buy it. And people actually be like, what, you know what? I was gonna buy it. I'm not gonna buy it anymore. And that the game is not good. Go to my fucking comment section on my Avowed videos. It's all people saying, I don't care about it. Like the UI, it's horrible. I don't like the animations. And there's some people saying, you know what, I'm gonna give it a chance. It doesn't look that bad. Yada, yada, yada. Mixed fucking opinions. But you just have to bring everything to the ground of it's misogynist and it's racist and it's this and it's that. It's like, no, what it is tiring and embarrassing to read. And the fact that, well, I don't know if you got paid for this. I don't think Kotaku is gonna be up for much, you know. I'm the last person who can deliver that ghastly, I don't see race bullshit people like to say instead of thinking. Yet, I saw some people. People in a fantasy world. Fantasy game people. I'll give them this though. I noticed one of them had blue skin. No, you know what you have to, like, that's your problem, right? Do you see race everywhere you go? We see this, and you know what gamers look at? They look at the fucking, like, tree trunk that looks like it was, you know, not fucking rendered properly. It looks like fucking Play-Doh, literally. The foliage, this fucking character looks terrible. Like, the proportions and everything, it looks really bad. Ew, look at the fingers. The clean, like, it's so clean. There's no grit. There's nothing. It's just boring. Boring. That's what people see. But you are the one that is focusing on the race. You're the one that looks at everything because the woke mind virus is fucking eating at your remaining brain cells. You don't have many of those to begin with. And all you have to see, because I'm telling you right now, if there was only white people in this, we would be hearing about this from Kotaku. If the dwarf was white and the main lady was white, we would be hearing about that. Like, oh my god. But nah. That stood out. Fucking typical DEI inclusion initiative. If I see a blue person flying a plane, I'm getting off there and then. All I've heard about the blue person, which on top of that, it's voiced by Garrus Vakarian, which people were actually looking forward to. Like, you know, getting to know Kai, is that Kai is a terrible character design. He looks like a fucking cosplayer painted blue. And in this alone, the entire scam was shown for what it really is. Just unabashed racism, homophobia, and misogyny. Are you reading this? What? That's it. It's so boring, but it's all it is. Racism, homophobia, and misogyny are profitable. So they're the focus. Damn right, they're profitable. For people like you. Like, I love that. And again, it's all about hypocrisy. Yes, racism, homophobia, misogyny, bigotry, they are words that are profitable for you. You are the ones that use them. You're the ones that twist the entire narrative to paint everyone under, you know, the very same light. It doesn't matter that people like me, people like Var, people like Grams, and people like Hypnotic have all our own fucking minds and opinions. Okay? Look at the fucking last Hypnotic stream that I did, where we were talking about Avowed, and just how the entire panel had different opinions about Avowed alone, okay? And it wasn't all about, it's woke, it's this. It was literally pointing out how Leon liked the fact that it looked clunky and it looked like old school. And Atreus and Kata said that it was a game that they would find themselves playing before the entire Matt Henson controversy came out. And they might still give it a shot. Me and Hypnotic, we were saying like, hey, it's not a good game. It's looking very rough. It's looking very unpolished. We shouldn't be letting people get away with cooking like a fucking game halfway through and serving it without it being done. I'm telling you right now. Like, bro. And at the end of the day, we're like able to let our differences aside and say, okay, have a good night, and talk to each other like nothing happened. But you guys have to make everything a fucking issue. You're the ones that bring racism, homophobia, misogyny, bigotry, this and that into the equation because it's the fucking strategy that has worked for you for the longest time. It's character assassination. Do not listen. This is the entire fucking point of this fucking man, okay? Is do not listen to these people's opinions about these games because they're racist, homophobes, misogynists, and their opinions are invalid. They're lying to you. Where's the proof that we're lying to you? And where's the proof that we're racist and homophobes and misogynists? First of all, I want to see that before you make such comments and you paint us all in the same light. If you had made this just about Grams, right? But you didn't do that. You made it about all of us. Because you knew that if you made it about Grams, you would have been fucking cooked immediately. So you keep it vague, right? But keeping it vague is even worse because people like me and Vara and Hypnotic and everyone in the fucking, you know, hatred pool here that we're just soaking in woke liberal tears, apparently. We're just gonna come after your fucking throat because you're actively lying about our characters. You're lying. But don't worry, they'll prove how no racist they are by pointing to their furious ongoing, although mostly forgotten, campaign against Ubisoft for including a black man in an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan. But you don't talk about how Ubisoft was terribly racist towards, like, Japanese people by not only trying to include a black man for no reason and not, you know, like, why not make a fucking Ubisoft Assassin's Creed based on African culture, which actually I would play the fuck out of it, and a lot of people will play the fuck out of it. No, Ubisoft was just trying to pull another Ghost of what's it called? Ghost of Tsushima. And instead of like making it about a like Japanese man, which it's what would make sense, they didn't do that, and in doing so they got wrong so many aspects of the Japanese culture on top of that. And they were being like actively disrespectful to Japanese culture. But you don't say that. Right. Right. That first Avowed fast came and went in the summer. The game permanently marked to be condemned. When I wrote about my excellent hour with the game on Kotaku, which is really funny, they only had an hour, and even the most well-known shills on the industry right now, and that would be not Fixture Life, but Skill Up, Mighty Plays, they admitted that they also had an hour with the game. And they didn't mention anything because it was looking very, very bad for Obsidian. And it was only after they could like play for like more hours in this other early access where they were like, okay, this is much better than that initial. So you're a fucking shill on top of that. The replies on X were bilious complaints about how the game was going to promote a woke agenda, which it is, based on, that picture. No, it's not based on that picture. It's also based on the fact that Matt Henson literally, our director for About, literally admitted publicly in his social medias that the only reason that he's putting like pronouns and making everything woke is to piss off Elon Musk and people like Elon Musk and whatever. He literally said that shit. So, and then everyone forgot they were so outraged about and moved on to the next topic. But oh boy, what a bigger gift could the grifters have received when November's About previews came around. Because when a bunch of journalists, you guys are not fucking journalists, you're paid writers, were given access to the opening few hours of the game, it was revealed that the game's character creator had the option for they, them pronouns. Sound the klaxons. I was one of those SGW lamestream media journalists. I spent 6 hours playing the game and had an absolutely brilliant time with it, and that's despite there not being a single mission in which I had to paint rainbow flags on the walls of a church, not any plotline in which I helped a blue-haired immigrant gain access to free healthcare. Instead, I was fighting spiders and shit, and I have said that it's looking very bad. It's looking like modded Skyrim. And no one in the history of ever, like, you're just like fighting invisible fights once again. And you're making, you're trying to like make us seem like we see the enemies that you're fighting to. We don't. It's all in your head, John. Because this is the third game set in the Pillars of Eternity canon, which is a war primarily focused on matters of the misuse of dark magic and the questionable nature of its deities. So every fucking RPG ever. About is a game about a disease called the Dream Scourge, causing people to grow mushrooms all over their bodies and go insane. Your character, who can be the whitest man you ever fucking saw in your life. What the fuck are you talking about? That's not the fucking issue with the fucking game, John. If you'd like, is an envoy but want to be a colonial nation, and you can choose to be as pro or anti that as you want with the game's broad choices of dialogue, which weren't looking very broad when I fucking read them. That's another one of my fucking concerns. It was very safe. Even the bad choices and the argumentative, rude choices were very polite. So yeah, as much as I tried, I couldn't find a single woke thing to do. I even chose boring old she/her pronouns in the character creator because my character was a woman with excellent fungal magnets growing out of her fucking face. Okay, but boy, I'm bored. Are the grifters on fire but about? They saw the previews about how you could hit spiders with swords, and they saw the few that mentioned the pronouns. It didn't seem particularly exciting to me, so I didn't think to mention it. No, you didn't mention it because you knew. And that was it. They were proven right. That early picture failing to feature Jeff from accounting was all the evidence they needed, and they'd have been proven correct to declare the game would cause their DI detectors to start shrinking. Were we wrong, though? Were we wrong? Again, it's a pattern recognition. In the moment, people were saying, like, why does it have pronouns? Can you explain it to us? Avowed, the official account was blocking people for asking questions. I had seen the screenshots, people asking questions politely, not being rude, just completely like block them. And we're not gonna talk about that, just doing damage control 100%. And then Matt Henson decided to open his stupid fucking mouth and said, I did it on purpose. I was waiting for this. I'm so glad that I'm seeing them fucking cry about this and whatever. And are we wrong? In the last week, they have been sending absolutely deranged messages about how the game is doomed. It is doomed because one of its art directors tweeted something about Elon Musk. Nah, not something. Nah, it's your fucking job as a journalist to tell me exactly, to quote it. Not something. Not something, John, because you're making it seem like, oh, Matt Henson doesn't like Elon Musk. No, Matt Henson literally openly admitted to the illegal hiring practices of Obsidian, and himself specifically, where he would prioritize black people and hiring black people over other people with talent, and would like let them cut in line to, all the way to the front. So, no, say the things as they are. Don't spread misinformation, because then you pin it on us, but you're actually the one that is spreading like lies. About is in deep trouble. They post to each other on X through pros ferreting concern of the severity of it all. Because yes, horrendously, the world's richest bigot has been posting about too. After what? Condemning its use of pronouns and deliberately reinterpreting their director's mocking sarcasm to a statement of intent to be racist against white guys. No, there wasn't a sarcasm. It was literally, bro. Really? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? Oh, God. Let's go, I guess. I'll find it. Don't worry about it. Okay, let's see. Let's see the sarcasm, okay? Matt Hansen, art director of Obsidian. I'm gonna read it to you. Reminder to Black artists out there who are looking for portfolio reviews or job advice, my DMs are open and you will always have my priority. We got too many crusty white dudes in this field. Please let me help you replace me one day. I want to go back to living in the woods. And before, Kotaku calls me a liar, I'm gonna let you see it right here. That's the tweet that revealed the illegal hiring practices that the art director for Obsidian is partaking in, and just, racism, because why are you going to take opportunities from like young people, talented people that happen to be white and want to make a name for themselves in the industry? So yeah, it's not something like, oh, he said something, a sarcastic that Elon Musk decided to interpret as racist. No, he said something racist and he said something illegal. He's still yapping, bro. Okay, let's stretch. It's the exact same playbook described above of taking something incredibly minor entirely out of context. That sounds like you literally are saying that. Like, that's you. You're saying this to yourself. Of taking something minor and blowing it out of proportion. You. The guy is laughing at those who think the game is negative towards white people, given that's not even vaguely something the game's about. Reframing it as something serious. It should not be acceptable for any company in the gaming industry to be racist and sexist against white guys. It shouldn't, though. It shouldn't. And the fact that this is really funny, like, reframing it as something serious, this is what you're doing. People are complaining about bad video games, and you're reframing it as something, that it's inherently, like, racist and, like, it's screaming homophobia and it's misogynistic and this. And then acting entirely on that reframed imaginary version, declaring that the game is already doomed to fail based on this fictional enormity. No, we're saying that the game is doomed because we are seeing a lot of shit that is wrong with it. And the pronouns is just one of the fucking things on top of that fucking, like, steaming pile of shit. Hot off the back of their success in destroying another RPG, Dragon Age the Veilguard, which utterly flopped. Thank you for admitting that it utterly flopped. Thanks to their efforts with a miserable 1 million sales in its first 2 weeks, it flopped. 1 million sales? For, like, I'm sorry, you think that 1 million sales for a AAA when Inquisition sold how many? How many sold Inquisition? 12 million? Like, he's trying to be, like, quirky. It flopped. It only sold 1 million copies. Yeah, that's nothing. Yeah, he's being sarcastic and he's getting it wrong because it did flop. 1 million for a AAA when the previous title that came 10 years ago sold 12 million. It is a flop. It is embarrassing. And they didn't get the money back because Inquisition wasn't nearly as expensive to produce as the Veilguard was. So they refer back to that extraordinary win as proof that About is doomed to the same terrible fate. It is. It is. We're winning. They endlessly image their gullible followers. We're winning, gullible followers. We're winning the fight. It's just boring racism, homophobia, misogyny, folks. That's it. That's the entire grift. You play to the venal nature of the disaffected, you feed latent bigotry and resentment, and you drop in a way to give your money. Cha-chin, but a quiet cha-chin. Because it's only so effective. No, it's pretty effective, right? Because I'm getting, my gullible followers to boycott entire, like, multi-billionaire companies by my lonesome. It's like, like 10 of us, like, boycotting the industry. We're pretty fucking successful at it, apparently, and we're making good money off of it. So, yeah, we are winning, apparently. Yeah, honestly, I love that they give us so much power, because if this was the case and we had the ability to literally boycott and orchestrate campaigns against multimillionaire companies, these games wouldn't even see the light of day. Do you understand? They wouldn't. And you drop away to give money to a chain by quiet to chain because it's only so effective, such that you have to exhaust and maintain the loop until eventually someone with a louder voice usurps you. Yeah, but it's really funny because you guys say that, but we help each other. The grifters really help each other out to grift, apparently. We do that. No, aside from that, everyone that, it's labeled a grifter in my side of the pond. No, that's not correct use of that fucking saying. But on my side of the internet, very nice people. You might not agree with them, but they have been nice to me. I've said this multiple times. They like to give people visibility, like people with smaller channels. They, even if they don't have the same amount of followers as you, or like subscribers or whatever, they will treat you with respect, and they will treat you like a human being. They don't really see numbers, or just like see takes, and they are focused on, hey, I like that you said this, and I like that you said that. Can you like talk more about that and stuff like that? That has been my fucking experience in the matter, and everyone has been incredibly like nice and cool, honestly. And this is literally, they're doing what they say that we are doing, and it's just painting and creating this narrative where everyone is evil because they don't think the same way that they do. And it's not that we reveal things. It's not that we, tell you our opinions, and then you can make your own informed opinion about what you know, because again, these people like to only show you the best of what they're offering you, the product that they're trying to sell you. And people like me and Varric and Hypnotic and Smash and Endymion were trying to pull apart that first impression and trying to dig deeper and see, okay, is this actually gonna be worth it? Because you're only showing me like 15 minutes of footage, and I know it's highly edited, and I know that you don't want to like give a bad impression, because believe it or not, the fucking trailer for, everything that they showed us for Dragon Age the Veilguard and everything they showed us for Avowed, that's the best of the best they have to offer as of that moment. And if that's as good as it gets, and that's, the money shot, I'm not impressed. And I am tired of having to like lower my expectations and still have to pay $70, and the money fucking like the fucking like money label, like the fucking money that you have to pay for a game has to like, it raises every fucking year, and they expect me to just like sit there, like be like, yeah, sure, I guess I'll pay for your game that I'm gonna end up hating and never touching again. And that's like $70 of my money that I'm never gonna see ever again. And no, they forget. These people get to a point, and it's like with YouTube like reviewers, like early access reviewers and gaming journalists, where they forget where they come from. They forget that at the end of the day, games are for everyone, and they're for like the little guy, you know what I mean? They're a way of like regular ass people to de-stress and just have a couple hours for themselves. And they're expensive. It's an expensive fucking hobby, okay? Like $70 fucking dollars a piece. It's not a fucking cheap hobby. And for them to just take for granted the fact that they have made a lot of money off of us for a very long time, and we're deciding that okay, that can be, a thing that we're doing that can be the status quo as long as your product warrants me paying $70 for it. In the past years, it hasn't. So you're not getting my $70. That's just like the, the give and take relationship that gamers in the video game industry have had for time immemorial. We give you money. You say, okay, give me $50. I'm going to give you, the best 10 hours of your life. And I'm like, okay, fair. And that exchange it happens. And we were pretty much completely fine with this until the prices started to skyrocket for these fucking products, and the quality started to deep dive under the fucking layer of the earth and into the core of the planet. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And there is a pattern here. And it's absolutely trying to be politically correct and trying to just police people's thoughts and to hijack spaces that do not belong to you. That is what it is. And the fact that these people are willing to just scream racism and homophobia and misogyny, we haven't had Black and Asian and other ethnicities protagonists and companions and beloved characters in franchises, and we haven't had gay characters and bisexual characters and lesbian characters. We haven't had none of that, and we haven't had female led video games at all. Stop. You're embarrassing yourselves, honestly. The problem is yourselves are promoting hatred because you're so hateful and so unhappy with your own lives and just absolutely bitter people that you have to force your worldviews on everybody else. And you're not doing this in a way that, it eases people into a conversation and it eases people into maybe, putting their differences aside and trying to understand each other. And maybe they cannot understand each other, but they can respect each other and they can let each other be. You are not doing that. You're forcing your way into spaces that do not belong to you. You're messing with people's hobbies and ways to de-stress. You're telling them to pay money for products that they do not want, and then you call them names on top of that. And you're doing all of that by throwing people of color and queer people and trans people and women under the fucking bus. You're oh, if you don't do what I say and you don't do this the exact way that I want you to do it, you're all of those things. So you're just promoting hate towards these people, okay? And that's not on us. You're not helping the situation at all. You're just making it fucking worse. And you cannot blame people for reacting violently when you are just shoving your way into spaces that you do not belong to. Because you just want everything to be handed to you 100%. You don't want to put in the effort. I'm sorry. You know what a male-dominated space I'm working my way into? Warhammer 40k. Predominantly men like Warhammer. I have never, every time that I bring up that I like Warhammer and I'm reading the books and I'm getting into the lore, never have I had a man told me, fuck off, you don't belong here. But it's because I'm not a couple of years into Warhammer and I'm saying, okay, I think all Astartes should be female and all the Custodes should be female and all the Chaos Gods should be female. Honestly, that's my headcanon. No, I'm taking the world as it is and I'm enjoying it, okay? And I like everything about it, okay? And I'm working my way into that, and all I've had is people say, okay, do you want recommendations on books? Do you like this? I recommend you to read this book or to play this game. Is there anything that you don't know about? Do you want to ask me a question? Maybe I can help. I've only had people being helpful and respectful and actually excited that someone someone new is trying to get into something that they know of and that they have been passionate about. I'm not shoving my way into the Warhammer community and saying, oh, I know better than everyone else. my opinion is the fucking, the one that goes. My opinion is fact. And if you guys disagree with me, or you try to educate me, or correct me in any way, you guys are fucking sexist and misogynistic. Because people are gonna tell me, well, fuck you, bitch. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. You're a fucking dumb bitch. And that's the fucking energy that you put out there, and the energy that you're gonna receive. And that's what you guys have been doing. It's like, bro, you know that the entire, like dance around queerness and representation and diversity has been, like, very, like, fragile. Like, it has been, like, there's only so much you can push before the fucking thing gives away. And there has been a balance where you have been able to introduce more diverse characters, and characters that thought different ways from one another. And that was okay. That was interesting. That was an interesting dynamic. But now that it has completely been, like, pushed aside for the sake of having diverse characters, which doesn't actually make them diverse, because it's forced diversity. It's nothing, they haven't earned their place there like any other character should have. It's just like, oh, you're just there. Everyone else is gonna be any sort of like race and sexuality that is not white and straight, because that's diverse somehow and that's realistic and people really resonate with that. And then we're just gonna make them really boring and, like, hateful, and we're gonna, like, sell this to people, and then you expect people to be like, yeah, this is good. No, bro. No, you're not putting in the work. You're not putting in the work to bridge that gap of, okay, maybe we can, push the envelope a little bit more and see, how people react to this. But, like, it hasn't been an issue. Like, as long as the characters were well written and cool and interesting and badass and this and that, it wasn't an issue. But then you just, like, completely made them caricatures of what they are. And then somehow you call us sexist and racist when you're literally making caricatures of people and ethnicities and sexualities and gender and disabilities. It's crazy. Crazy. It hasn't removed a reference to something unpleasant that go through in a version from 1990s. None of the usual massive crimes. It just had a picture of some people, an entirely ignorable text box on the character creator's screen, and a sarcastic art director, not sarcastic, who thinks toolback Elon Musk is a toolback. But they're going after it too, because more than anything else, it hasn't made any special effort to center a straight white man in its marketing, because when it's all stripped away, that's all it's about, pure bigotry. No, it's just a bad game. It's just a terrible game, okay? And that's just the reality. Sad. And these people are not willing to have an actual conversation. Uh-oh, we're about to be signed off. God. Fuck. No, don't sign me off. I do that at night. Did I do that when I came back? I do that at night, so my computer turns off automatically. Oh no. Oh no. Let's see if I can cancel it. Oh no. If it turns off, I'll just come back. Don't worry about it. It's okay. It's okay. I do that so I don't have the fucking PC on the entire night. Well, that's gonna happen soon, unfortunately for all of us. It's been nice knowing you, I guess. Bro, I think it's because it goes on to like a sleepy mode. Oh no, let's try to get as much as God, I cannot take it off. I don't know how to do it. I think I can do this. I think I did it. Give me a second. I think I did it. We will see if in 10 minutes I'm not here. That's why. Who's just sleeping with a desktop? Bro, I'm sleeping there, okay? And I'm a grown-ass adult, but I'm also a toddler. I sleep there. I'm listening to Queso or anyone, or I'm listening to like a local documentary. And I know that I'm gonna fall asleep. I know this. And I don't want my fucking PC to be running the entire fucking night. Okay? I don't like, so I just tell it to shut off after 3 hours. Me, I do that. Okay, let's see. I was talking about the fucking Blight before we got Vara fucking hijacked my stream. No, she didn't. That was actually a very good read because it was so terrible, honestly. That Sony 2 medallion scores as hell. I'm actually going with my boyfriend through the Chris Chan documentary. He's the most documented man alive, which is crazy. And bruh. Don't you listen on a phone? It's cheaper. No, because I'm also doing something on my computer is never shut down, bro. I can't. Like, it has to shut down. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep, shut it down. Because otherwise, I'm also on my phone on TikTok while I'm listening. Vara is here. Vara is not a unicorn, okay? Yeah, she's real. Say hi to Vara. She's been here for a while. She's lurking, probably like working in the meanwhile. Is Vara still fighting with Jaffe? I think Vara is over that. Clash of Titans, Vara versus Newer. Nah, we're on the same side, Vara and me. Okay, let's see. But yeah, technology versus newer technology. The Blight is forever change. It's less perilous, whatever. With how long this game's been in development, there are things that have come and gone over time as we shift the project's scope and direction from one type of game to another. Originally, we did have more of Minrathos built out for the player, but we chose to focus on making Dogtown feel meaningful, full of content instead of creating more areas just to put nothing in them. Dogtown just felt repetitive as hell. It felt, again, oh, Vara, it felt like Dragon Age 2 in a way of like just having to go back to the same fucking place over and over and over again. I'm gonna read some super chats. Benjathan, please check Steam notifs at your early convenience. Okay, let me check them. Then we have Gazalarian with 10 Canadian dollars. They love to misrepresent our issues with their products. We all chose where to draw the line as to when we don't support a product. We do so as individuals, not as a hive mind led by an ideology. Exactly. Adam with the 5. The game didn't sell because chats. Yeah, that is what we will say exactly. Instead of just like actually going through every single thing that was bad about it. Vara, come back with the 10, and she's like a hippo with the thumbs on. Okay, let's see. Oh, Path of Exile, the second one is already out. Thank you. I have to play that. I have to play so many fucking games, bro. We're playing Pillars of Eternity today. We might still do that after I go through a bunch of this shit and I get tired of it. I will say that for me, I want to revisit Minrathos in the future. You're not gonna revisit shit. I don't think we gave it enough time, and there are multiple other stories that can be told both in it and with it. Particularly with the way the game ends, it's important since the world has only gone up. Yeah, because you made it as, so Minrathos is the only fucking, city left standing. Sorry for changing stream topic, so I pay you, damn right. No, I really like that fucking article. It was so bad. I'm gonna get an entire video out of that alone. It's gonna be great. Server is dying. I'm not gonna play it right now. As it's become the diplomatic hub of Theras, and thus a place of even greater importance in the world. Yeah, because you made it like that. You literally killed the rest of Theras off screen. Maybe someone else can answer this question, but why does Mythal Essence relieve souls of his guild in the Romance Inquisitor ending when in his memories she's objecting to what he's doing? Since wind dragons are female, does that mean the archdemons all gods are female? I noticed their label as male on the wiki and was unsure if it's not updated or all gods followers assumed or were they told they were male. I understand if this might pose a logistical nightmare, but would the devs consider polyamorous and or open relationships instead of monogamy if they haven't already? Given how diverse sexuality is in Thedas, I'm surprised there are more instances of poly-open relationships. I miss going to brothels too. Sick in the head, people. Literally. Literally. Oh my god. People grow and change over time. Mythal's essence, and in particular the fragment of her spirit that Morrigan carries, that she got from Flemeth, is not the same Mythal who knew millennia ago. Centuries of living in this world and being around the kinds of people Flemeth found herself around, the Herferelden, Hawk, and the Inquisitor changed her views, and made her realize her own culpability in turning Solas into the kind of person he is now. That is literally fucking stupid. It's ridiculous, by the way. Now they're saying that the Herferelden, Hawk, and Inquisitor changed Flemeth's views, when in those fucking games, Flemeth is the one that steers those, like, protagonists into, you know, or just, like, gives them more insight in what's going on, because it has been established again and again that Flemeth knew what was gonna happen, or knew a lot of what was gonna happen before it happened, okay? That is a very lazy way to say that we changed the plot and we changed, like, you know, this to, like, to work for us in this specific instance, okay? Because I have said it, and I said it in one of my lore videos with the whole Mythal and Solas bullshit, which is in Inquisition, Flemeth, Mythal, and Solas knows that Mythal is in Flemeth's body. They have a conversation, you know, yada yada yada, and Flemeth is, you know, tries to talk him down about bringing down the veil and killing people. What does Solas does? He, you know, he's very set in his ways, and because until that point it's heavily established, or it had been until that point, that the only reason why Solas wanted to tear down the veil was because he felt guilt about what he did to the elven people. Solas was all about helping the elves not be slaves anymore, and do their own thing, and do this and do that, you know what I mean? It was never about Mythal. It was never about her. Or not just about her. It was about helping his people to be free. And when he tried to do that, he tried to help them be free of the Evaneres and put them behind the veil. He severed their connection to the Fade, to magic, and doomed them to die and be mortal. And he could never, like, live, like, with that. And that was such a much more potent, like, storyline of, like, it's not about, it's bigger than him, and it's bigger than Mythal, it's bigger than Evaneres. It's about bringing back what he took from people, even though he was trying to help them. And that's all that's, you know, it's about Solas. And it was reflected, or was gonna be reflected, in Dreadwolf, in my opinion, how Solas always hurts people that he's trying to, like, help. Like, that's his, like, flaw. He's, like, you know, Achilles' heel is, like, he's always manages to fuck shit up more than he fixes. And because at his core, he's an arrogant man that cannot admit that, you know, he made a mistake and live with it, and with the way that the world had changed, you know, he's trying to reset the world to, you know, their, like, the original state, which is much more interesting. But in Veilguard, in one of the endings, which is, all the endings are basically the same, by the way, what happens is Flemeth, like, a part of Mythal's essence is in Morrigan, which completely overwrites the players and Morrigan's will and fear of not wanting to be like her mother. Like, that was one of Morrigan's worst fears, was being like her mother, being Flemeth. And in Origins, you can actually like go against that and make her so she like rebels and she doesn't want to be like Flemeth and she runs away from her mother and this and that. And in Veilguard, they completely take that player like choice away and completely override it, and they make Morrigan just like her mother, which is lovely because, you know, all women are like her mother, and that's not misogynistic in the slightest. And if you collect pieces of this and that, you can unlock like another piece of Mythal for some reason, and that's like the most original version of Mythal, yada yada yada. And at the end of that ending, Mythal comes out in like a spiritual like form, and she basically apologizes to Solas, like, I'm sorry that I pulled you into this war, I'm sorry that I did this to you. And Solas is like, that's all I ever wanted, an apology. Although they had already had a scene in Inquisition where they met each other, and Mythal in Flemeth's body told him like, hey, this is not cool, don't do it. And he literally killed her to steal her essence to become more powerful. And again, that's a plot hole, because if Solas stole Mythal's essence and absorbed it, how does Morrigan have Mythal's original essence that was in Flemeth? It would make sense if she had the other piece, the original piece that was lost in the crossroads or whatever. But again, they don't talk about that because it doesn't, you know, doesn't make sense. It's a plot hole that they don't even realize that it's there, but whatever. Yeah, I love that. Correct. All archdemons are female. That wasn't the case until Veilguard came around. Until that point, all the old gods that at that point we didn't know, they were like the Evanori's vessels or whatever. They were male, with the exception of Razikel, who was the only ever Evanoris to be referred as a female, like old god. Okay? So that is just something that, again, they pulled out of their fucking ass. We love to see it. Hey. Great. Also, yeah, I don't care. I don't care. Elgarnan, of course, doesn't really care what reality is, only what his reality is. And so he's quite happy to see Lucican simply being an extension of himself, and thus male. Something about Elgarnan that we only really show in the ending is that he is, in truth, just as scarred and blighted as Gillian is, but he uses a portion of his magic to always look handsome and regal, because his ego really is that big. Polyamory is something that we've talked about doing before, and it's something that I know the writing team was into. I bet you guys were into polyamory. You were probably like fucking each other's ass in that fucking writing room instead of actually writing. But rather than simply turn it into a you can have multiple romances toggle, we wanted to be sure we did it respectfully and properly. What was respectful and proper about the romances in fucking Veilguard? They were poorly written as hell. My questions are mainly centered about the game's lore. Dragon Age Veilguard seems to have established a very elf-centric past for the world, as well as the races populating the world. Current state of the Titans, the Blight, the All Gods, and some other things I might be forgetting, they all have links in origins to the Evanoris, which is a cop-out of massive and epic proportions, by the way. It is the lamest shit you can ever pull as a writer. Is everything links back to the same fucking origin point. It is boring. It is safe, and it is 100% not what was intended at the beginning. I'm telling you that right now. There's probably a lot much more like minute shit in there, and it's something that they're never gonna actually flesh out because they have already erased and cut off any other possibly like branch out theory about it. It's just, oh, the elves did it. The elves did it. It was the elves. Oh, damn, the elves did it. Like, bro. In future installments that are never going to happen, stop saying that. Can we hope for other races to get more attention with respect to this? Because right now, it feels that most of the biggest mysteries of the universe, as well as circumstances leading to present state of the world, are a result of the elves. And again, the elves were such a like a cop-out that they did. But at the same time, it's like they don't actually talk about any other race and how they came into being. We know that the elves were originally spirits that with blood magic and lyrium made bodies for themselves. And that's how the elves came to be. How did the humans came to be? How did the Kunari came to be? How did the dwarves came to be? Were they also made? Did the Evanuris make them? Did they make the humans? Did they make the Kunari? Did they make the dwarves? We will never know. Because they don't know themselves. To me, the magic system in Veilguard felt very different from the other games in the series. When Bellara mentioned stuff like recalibrate the matrices, I wanted to kill myself. That's not what it says right here, but it's literally that. They literally turned magic into science. When that has never been like that. Ever. In the previous established. Like IPs, it hasn't. It felt more sci-fi than fantasy. None of the past Dragon Age games had this kind of talk, and it felt too big of a leap for going from southern Thedas to the north, especially considering none of the northern characters in past Dragon Age games spoke like this either. This was one of the few instances in the game that felt immersion breaking to me. Only a few? Can you help reconcile Veilguard's magic system with the magic of the past games? Also, the whole fucking Thedas dying. Not Thedas, like fucking Ferelden and Orlais. Makes no fucking sense. It's literally established that the Ferelden wardens were getting repopulated. Like they were getting, like, you know, back to like their usual like like numbers. Then there was the awakening shit where you can play as the warden commander, and they literally have the most experience out of any Grey Warden out there on how to deal with evolved Darkspawn, because the Darkspawn that you fight in Awakening as the Warden Commander, you're either, you know, you're the Warden Commander from Orlais, or you're like a recurring character as the hero of Ferelden, now the Warden of Command, like the Warden Commander of, is it Orlais? Is it? I don't remember. They have the most experience fighting Darkspawn that are different than what they're supposed to, and I love the take of a Magister, like an original Darkspawn, actually like being like in the shadows fucking with the Blight and trying to make it better, which is what you would do. You wouldn't make the Blight worse like a fucking god like Gillenane did. You would actually make it better. What did he do? He made the Darkspawn sentient beings. He made some of them able to like of thought and like speech, and it was such a scary thing, because you have been fighting these fucking creatures for hours on end on Origins, and then in Awakening they talk to you, and it's like, I don't like this, I need to fix this is not good. Because if the Darkspawn become sentient and they're capable of, like, you know, that would have been such a, that obviously they would never touch upon that, because the idea of like the Darkspawn being free from the calling as well, and being able to like move and think independently from an archdemon would have been such a fucking great thing to actually go into, of like, okay, we have an issue now because the Darkspawn are not, it's not just you kill the archdemons, you kill the Darkspawn, you kill the Blights. No, now they're completely independent of the archdemons, and we have an issue here. They completely fucking erase that. Okay, I do agree that the elves had their place in the sun at this point. We're never going to stop telling stories about the elves. I hope that you do. But I think there are plenty of interesting stories to tell in Thedas, where the Evanuris are tertiary characters at most. Doubtful. I think that's a fair reaction, but I'll ask another question in two parts. First, Bellara assumes she knows everything about magic. That's not the question that this person asked. They asked, and I have mentioned it as well, why does magic now seem like science? And, you know, she probably knows more about the way elven magic works better than anyone else in the world who isn't an Evanuris. But that doesn't mean she actually knows how magic itself works. ¿Qué? You're not answering the fucking question. The magic system in Veilguard felt different from other games. It felt more sci-fi than fantasy. That's the question. It's not the question about does Bellara know more about magic? Why is Bellara so well? No, that's not the fucking question, John. She probably knows more about the way elven magic works than anyone else in the world who isn't an Evanuris, but that doesn't mean she actually knows how magic itself works. The thing about the Evanuris is that ultimately they were able to take a very specific type of magic and shape it into doing what they always wanted. And again, they don't actually specify because they haven't. And I said that multiple times as a writer, and I write fantasy most of all. You have to write a set of rules for your world, for your universe, and if you're gonna use magic, you have to know what works and what doesn't work, what's allowed and what's not allowed, how it's cast. Can you cast magic without hands? Does it have to always be through a wand? And if you can do cast magic with your hands and a stick, why the stick is better for like channeling magic? Is it made a certain way? Does it have certain runes? Does it have certain like gems that have magical properties and helps like channel the magic better? How much magic can a mage cast before they're spent, or it harms their fucking life force and it starts like pulling away at their actual like lifespan? There's so much thing that you have to establish, because otherwise everything is a thingamajig, and it's what happened in Veilguard. Everyone is special and everyone knows everything about everything, and Bellara is capable of just like tinkering with fucking machines, because now the like elven gods, for some fucking reason, instead of like actually casting spells as mages, they just created fucking contraptions. They just like go and they get fixed, or they create a bridge. When in Inquisition, for example, if you were a mage, all you had to fucking do was use your magic that you had to create a bridge to keep it in place. No, now it's all about fucking technology. Magical technology, but you don't even know how it works. And he doesn't explain what type of magic the Evanuris were using and what they wanted to do with it. But even their understanding of magic was only skin deep. Bellara and Emmerich get into this little bit in their banter, but so much of the rest of the world, the magic of death that the Mornwatch will, for example, or the magic of the deep faith that Bellara feels when she comes out of some of her experiments in the lighthouse, is not the same as elven magic. Even the magic that Tevinter wields, the magic of the Southern Mages, is different from what the Evanuris used. But again, they don't explain how it's any different. And that's literally not what this person asked you. The magic of the Evanuris is powerful, but it's sterile and it's constrained. So while the Evanuris have made magic work in a way that's more predictable and understandable, which wouldn't make any fucking sense. Like, that's the thing that is crazy to me. That they're literally making the Evanuris, who in their own canon that they have rewritten for Veilguard, the Evanuris are the epicenter of everything that has ever happened in Thedas. They are the end and the beginning. They're the maker. They're Mythal. They're the all gods. They're the ones that, they're like the reason why the world is consumed by the Blight. And they then make them lame, and they make them weak, and they make them dumb. How are these like the most powerful fucking mages ever in the history of Thedas, that were so fucking powerful, that were treated as gods? Why is their magic, that you don't explain what their type of magic is, why is the most predictable and understandable of all the magics? That makes absolutely no fucking sense. Absolutely no fucking sense. Crazy. It's not the only kind of magic out there, and even then, I'd say they understood it as a very surface level. People were confidently describing how the natural world worked back in the 16th century. Very few people he hasn't answered a single fucking question. Yeah, if Sola's ritual succeeded, what would happen to the elves and to the humans? The art book, I'm gonna have to get the fucking art book, don't I? Make it look like they just dropped dead, but Sola's dialogues doesn't seem to go into that direction. Do you have any advice for game developers on managing a project of this size? I was amazed by the lack of bugs at launch. I think the reality is that even Solas couldn't properly answer that question. I love how they... We're not talking about Solas here. We're talking about you. You made these characters. This pains me. As someone that writes like fantasy, and I'm hoping to publish a book one day, this really pains because it's like, yeah, I understand that a character is not going to know everything. A character shouldn't know everything. Even if they're powerful, they shouldn't be like a fucking god in that sense. They shouldn't know as much as you do as the writer. But you as a writer have to be a god in this certain, like in this situation, because you're the one shaping everything. You're the one who decides why things are the way they are. So stop saying, oh, Solas wouldn't know what happened. Do you know what would have happened? You have to know that. Okay, I understand that in the end product, the decision was Solas's ritual is not gonna happen. It's not gonna succeed. But you have to know what would have happened if it did. First of all, to like give people some stakes, I think it would have been pretty like nice if in the story prior to that, I hope that they would have had like a more hours to get to know Rook as a character. Like, this is in my fucking mind palace, where Veilguard could have like been a better game than it actually was. It's not, and it couldn't have been. But just imagine, bear with me for a second. We have more time to explore Rook's origins as we did in Origins, and we discover like the ritual that Solas is planning to do. Because guess what? He's saying here, John Epler, that the Vanurs didn't even really know what they were doing that well. So maybe he read it somewhere else, or he came across like a certain fucking piece of this or that. And he now knows how to do this ritual, because it's never explained how Solas came with this ritual, how he knew how to do this in the first place. They're just pulling in fucking spells like out of their fucking butthole like crazy. And they don't explain anything, which is one of my fucking pet peeves, because you have to know how the fucking spell works, how their ritual works. Why does it work like that? What it's necessary. You cannot just make everything look pretty, like set fucking 7 statues around and make the fucking air shimmer. And that's a ritual. No, I need to know what he's doing. What is he doing? What is, the process to reach that end goal? How did he figure that out? How does it work? Could any mage do that? Or is it only Solas because he's a very powerful mage, because it's literally like a spirit? Nothing. They give us fucking nothing. And now they're just saying like, oh, Solas wouldn't know that. Tell me what you know. By the way, my fanfictions are on Archive of Our Own, and I'm under the same name as here, Nure. Please don't spam fucking comments on my fanfiction, and you will be dealt with extreme prejudice. I might have to change my fucking username in that. Oh, okay. Yeah, it just works fucking, and I hate it. In his mind, there would be some pain and suffering for sure, as everyone adjusted to the raw magic now pouring into the world and the demons everywhere. But eventually, everyone would live surrounded by magic, and possibly immortality would be possible as well. That's a very... Okay. And you can make a world saving omelette without breaking a few eggs. I also think Solas is a gifted liar to everyone, including himself. You cannot think. You cannot think. You have to know. As a character, you have to know. That's the thing. I can think someone else's character is this and that, because I don't have all the cards. I don't have the notes. I don't have the world building. I don't have the framework. I don't have the bare bones. Okay, I don't have that. So I can theorize, and we have been theorizing about this and that and that. You, as someone that is part of the project, cannot think that a certain character is like this or that. You have to know, and you have to answer fucking questions correctly. And you cannot like pick and choose what you're fucking answering. You didn't answer the fucking question about why does magic look like fucking technology now. You didn't answer that fucking question. And why would everyone have immortality? Even when the elves were immortal before the veil, and the humans and the dwarves were, you know, also living in that world, they weren't immortal. The only immortal ones were the spirits turned elves. So, yeah. Having reviewed some of the game files, I'm curious about what the dreamer mechanics would have looked like. Would there have been dreamers on every map? Wouldn't have been a dialogue, or would we have been able to experience the memories, dreams the dreamers are stuck in? We explore the idea of dreamers at several points in development. I believe the instance you're referring to was a mechanic in which you could encounter a dreamer in the world and then also encounter their corresponding consciousness in the crossroads. We would have used this as a way to encourage a back and forth set of optional quests and mysteries to encourage exploration and discovery. Ultimately, we abandoned the concept because mechanically the crossroads gates and corresponding champions were providing a similar experience in driving the player from the crossroads. The fucking champions were so bad. The fact that you just like fucking soft locked from every single area. Terrible fucking character design and game design. Did you ever thought that players would be addicted to having Rook barrel through crates and chests? I'm not even gonna read that. For those of you answering, what was your favorite region? When the Winter Nights was being written, did you already know the components for Veilguard would be in... Is killing Varric one of Solace's regrets? For me, it was definitely a Lathan Forest. The team has so much fun, blah, 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 blah. That's Corinne. Bitch. The team had so much fun with the exploration, the environmental storytelling, and the strange magic manifested in the area. In particular, I remember the first time I saw people that had been twisted into trees showing up in the area. I was taken aback by the inventiveness of the team in capturing that beauty in horror. That has been done 1,000 times before. So shut up. I must say I also found the sightlines in the area absolutely gorgeous. It was really fun to watch it develop. She didn't do fucking shit. And again, not answering any fucking questions whatsoever. I'm mostly wondering if how the griffins can be saved as a species since there's only one surviving clutch. It seems like a lack of genetic diversity would doom them to re-extinction. That is very true. But I'm hoping there's a lore-friendly way to overcome that. It's funny you say that because I keep thinking the exact same thing. I can remember exactly how much genetic diversity you need to have to make a species viable, but I'm sure it's more than just a clutch of eggs you say from the Gloom Howler. But in a setting with such magic and mysterious Dragon Age, I think that's probably the list of the problems the Griffins are going to have to... So, literally, someone brings up a really good point. It's like, they're only, like, they're siblings, all siblings, that clutch of eggs, there's only like 12 of them. At some point, the genetic diversity is gonna, you know, give out, and that's it. It's like, yeah, I thought about that. But, you know, there's magic. And magic can do whatever. No, magic cannot do whatever, by the way. You guys have established that. So... And again, the copium. I thought about this too, but my conclusion was that since the Gloom Howler seems to have hidden the eggs with the purpose of saving the species, she might have snagged an egg here and there from different batches to save while she was forced to blight the other ones. She seemed clever enough to do this. And you need 50 eggs to avoid inbreeding, 500 to maintain evolutionary potential. And there's only 12 eggs in that clutch. Okay. I've seen people that say they believe Andraste was a vessel for Mythal because of a comment Morrigan makes about a previous vessel. Falling in love with an Almari chieftain in this case. Is this the case, or was she talking about Flemeth? I think I'm going to have to keep the question a mystery for everyone. What do you guys think? You know how much fucking slack I've gotten about people saying that she wasn't talking about Mythal, she wasn't talking about Andraste, she was talking about Flemeth, and she was talking about Andraste. Because why would Morrigan talk about her mother, like, you know, one of her vessels fell in love with an Almari chieftain, and not say Flemeth? You know? Why would she talk about her mother and be vague about it? No, she was talking about Andraste. Fucking obviously. And this sells it. I think I'm going to have to keep the first question a mystery for everyone. So yeah, literally, even Jesus himself, it's a fucking elf in this world. And I'm telling you right now, the fucking maker, also an elf. It's gonna be soulless. It's not just gonna be, because we're not gonna see that, but you know. For the second, it varies. I'm not even gonna read that. I was gonna read the only first one, but yeah. So literally, I was right, as I usually am, and people hated. To your first one, she's referring to Tirda Brydax and her leaf-eared lover. What is this? No, she isn't. Stop trying to say that this is like... How did Jowen achieve the rank of First Warden? Was he ever deserving of the kind of respect Davrin seemed to have for him? By the time you meet Jowen, and I don't even fucking know who this person is, Jowen in Dragon Age Veilguard has become a political creature more than anything else, which makes sense after what happened to the Order in Origins. I think there was an internal realization that they had to spend more time making nice with the leaders of the various countries, so no one would ever do them again what Logain did back then. That is literally bullshit. Again, poop from the butt. Poop from the butt. Because literally in Origins, you realize as the Warden that regardless of political like differences and shit like that, as long as you're a Great Warden and you have the fucking papers to prove it, they have to fucking help you. You literally can like dangle the Blight over their heads and be like, bro, you don't help me, I'm gonna let you get eaten by Darkspawn. Literally, you can do that. So this is absolutely like bullshit, bro. Bullshit. But he didn't get that position entirely due to his connections. He was a fearsome warrior and a brave warden in his own right, saving people and winning against impossible odds time and time again. He's older though, and this is fighting the last war in his mind. Internally, we always describe him as the general who was a brilliant tactician back in his time, but war has changed him so dramatically and he refuses to keep up. So literally, they're just trying to pull a Logain again and fail miserably. Was there any plans at one point for the Inquisitor to have a more active role in Veilguard, perhaps as something like an advisor or mentor to Rook? What was the reason behind only making Dockdown expressible enemy Rathas? You already fucking talked about this. Could you elaborate on a finer details of Sol's spell to trick Rook into thinking Varric was dead? For example, did it blank Rook's memory? If any other character directly brought up Varric's fate, they don't know that. And they literally don't answer that question. They don't know that. They don't know how any of their spells work. Because they haven't sat down and done the fucking work. So, and they literally just focus on the other fucking questions that they have already answered. What is the details of Sol's spell to trick Rook into thinking Varric was dead? There's nothing. It was literally a gotcha moment of like, oh my god, plot twist, Varric has been dead the entire time. And they didn't put the fucking word for it. There wasn't anything actually good in the writing for that plot twist. Because there was so many points, even before I played Veilguard and I knew the plot twist, that I was looking at the screen and I was looking at Varric interact with Rook, and I was like, okay, Varric is not interacting with anyone else. He's not talking to anyone else. They're not listening to him. Like, I remember the first time that I played it, I said, not played it, like watched it. I was like, why is Hardin not tending to Varric? Why is she not like by his bedside taking care of him? And that wouldn't, like, knowing what we knew about her character and her relationship with Varric, that didn't fit in my brain. And then there was like when I played Veilguard, all those instances where I was like, they're just ignoring the fuck out of him. no one is asking about Varric. And it was just so, like, out there. Like, why are they so bitchy? Like, what happened? Whatever. And then obviously the plot twist, I didn't even get to play the plot twist. I just found out on my own. And I was like, yeah, like, this makes no fucking sense. It's so bad. It was so poorly written. It was just a way to be like, oh my God, would you look at this? Because Rook was just talking to himself all the fucking time. No one brought up the fact that Rook was talking to himself. No one tried to, like, have an intervention. No one mentioned anything about having a potential funeral for Varric. Nothing. It was terrible. It was just a way to, like, make you care. Which I said multiple times. If you want us, to care about this, first of all, I said, make the Inquisitor the protagonist. First of all, we have horses in that fucking race. If you don't do that, make me care about Rook first and make me, give me at least like an hour or two of Rook actually, like that year that they're like, off screen, like searching for Solas. Actually, let me play a little bit of that. Let me like see that like synergy between Varric and Rook and why Rook is so, like upset about the revelation of Varric is dead and whatever and this and that. And when that happens, the ritual and Solas actually like stabs Varric and kills him. Actually, let me see that, he's dead. Varric is dead. Let me have an emotional like reason. I understand because, if you have 2 fucking brain cells and you live in a world that it's about to end, and you can do something about it, or you were in the process of doing something about it, you're gonna continue to do that. You're gonna be like, okay, I live in this planet. I don't want this guy to like destroy the planet and kill me, so I'm gonna have to do something about it. That's like common fucking sense. Actually, give me an emotional like anchor for the reason why I'm also doing this, and maybe like that would have been a really great way to like flesh out Rook as a character, as a protagonist of, are we doing what Varric wanted to do? Are we, following Varric's footsteps and we're like being good people and we're doing what he would have done, we're like keeping his legacy and trying to like stop his friend and talk him down? Or are you gonna like actually be bitter and sour and changed by the fact that this great man just died in front of your eyes, this guy killed him, and it's just a fucking quest for revenge? It's more than just saving the world, it's about avenging Varric. That would have been so much more interesting than the fucking plot twist at the end. It's just cheap. It didn't work, it didn't land. It's just really bad. And it's the way that, it's basic storytelling. What I'm saying is not something that, oh my God, I'm a genius, I'm this, I'm that. It's literally like, if you want your story to be like compelling and entertaining and anything more than just vapid and regurgitated shit, you have to work for it. But yeah, whatever. How do you think Veilguard sets up the future of the franchise? Where would you like to take it from here? I'm sure it won't surprise you when I say we riff on this topic a lot. What really captures my imagination now that we've resolved some of the mysteries pertaining to the Blight and the Elven Gods is exploring the aftermath of this crisis in a deeply established settings, or whatever the fuck. And as you can imagine, given a Blight of this magnitude... What Blight of this magnitude? What are you talking about? And the revelations of the Elven Gods is going to have long-lasting geopolitical implications, and there will be those eager to take advantage of the situation. Not to mention, there is so much more yet to explore in the nature of the dwarves and Qunari, and their relationship to the Titans and dragons respectively. That's Corinne, and we failed to mention the humans at all. Because fuck humans, I guess. Corinne, shut the fuck up. Shut your whore mouth. We don't want to hear from you. To riff on what Corinne is saying, I think for myself, I love to look at taking it down from end of the world to the world is changing. How do you adapt and react? The balance of power has changed, and the sword of Damocles is the Evanurs, and the Blight is no longer hanging over the world. What does that look like? Who's on top now? And with all the revelations brought in Dragon Age the Veilguard, what does it look like for the dwarves and for the Kunari. I don't care. There's not going to be a future, by the way, because again, the entire premise of Dragon Age was about the Blight, and that's how it should have ended, okay? Not like this, not with a fucking whimper. It should have been like a big ass revelation of the Blight. It's like this, and we have to take it down, and there's no future. Like, Dragon Age ends with the Blight. That's it. That's how this works, okay? And I just don't care about political shit. I literally don't care. I know you guys do, but I don't care. I was wondering what happened to the Forgotten Ones and why the Forgotten One, was he scared of the eye? Does that mean something, or is it just him saying that he's scared of going back into the Fade? When Anaris is defeated, he's sent back to the Void. That's what's there isn't something anyone really knows. But if you read the other Codex entries scattered around Alathan, it's clear that Anaris has touched something far darker and more dangerous than he expected, and now he's sent, so to speak. That's never gonna fucking happen. Never gonna happen. Like, never. Unlike the last game, there was 2 fewer companions, a rogue. Why do they spell, like, rogue wrong? It's not rouge, it's rogue. And a warrior less. If it was up to you, what sort of characters would fill up those 2 spots? Oh gosh, we'll answer some of the questions 1 and 2 together. I would have loved to bring back Fenris, either as a cameo or to fill that warrior slot. Leave fucking Fenris alone. As for the rogue role, I do think something akin to the Savager specialization would have been an interesting style of companion. Favorite RPGs outside of BioWare, will give you 3 in order, but it's okay 3. The Xenogears, followed by Final Fantasy 12. Is that 12? Ew. Ew. During development, did you plan for a cameo of any companion from previous games that ultimately got scrapped? And on this topic, has an appearance of the Hero Ferelden on the table at any point? Is there a reason they haven't appeared since Origin? Because they don't know what to do with them. Because Origins had so many fucking branching choices that they cannot do what they did with the Inquisitor. Or what they did with Morgan, which is water them down to their basics. The Hero Ferelden was literally like, it could be anyone. Not a Hero Ferelden is the same. So they cannot do that. While not a companion for a long while, Charter had a role in the game. Charter is that fucking scout that was friends with Hardin and no one cares about. Ultimately, we felt this wasn't the best fit and decided to move away from her appearance. In some cases, the opposite was true, where we added former companions. Bringing back Isabella was a relatively late call, but we did feel we had the right role for her to fill within the Lords of Fortune. Yeah, making a fool of herself. That was her fucking role. And just you ruining her character in one fucking cutscene. That was amazing. I often think about the role of the Hero Ferelden might play. It's a challenging one due to the choices the player might have made. The ones that you didn't fucking respect. You know. Not to mention how we handle giving them a voice that matches player expectation, given they were a silent protagonist. But I do think there is something there, and I would like to explore it if we can find the right story to tell. If you touch the fucking Hero Ferelden, you're gonna hear from my fucking lawyer screen. I wanna tell you this. If you touch my fucking Hero Ferelden, you're gonna be hearing from my fucking lawyers. Don't even... Can we get confirmation on what happened to the other Evanuris? Will we get any more lore? We haven't been super specific about this because you don't fucking know what you're doing. But at best, the other Evanuris are a shadow of their former selves, and at worst, they're dead. So which one is it? Which one is it? The death of their archdemons, particularly when they were still trapped in the Fade, caused enough magical feedback that it broke their minds and bodies. A couple may have survived as shells, but they are in the same state as Gillinan and Ergernan. And I have talked about this in my lore videos. This makes no fucking sense, because why would the archdemon dying affect the Evanuris? But the Evanuris getting their life like sapped away to sustain the veil don't affect the archdemons. Yeah, that is completely horseshit. I'm really curious about that too, especially how and why the death of the archdemons caused their deaths and what it means for Solus' survival in the prison. We don't care about Solus. Can we look forward to more lore supplementary material? For example, World of Thedas Volume 3. Did Abelas recognize Solace when he said Elven like you in Trespasser? What is the Elven word for wisdom? They don't fucking know. They couldn't even write the... They couldn't even, like, write and get the Elven, like, right in Veilguard when they spoke in Elven. It wasn't right. With all the lore reveals in Dragon Age Veilguard, another World of Thedas is something we'd absolutely love to do. That said, they're complex beasts and require a lot of work. No, you know what requires making a World of Thedas? It requires the people that wrote the lore to write the book, and those people don't work at the company anymore. Just in case you don't know this, David Gator wrote the World of Thedas tomes, so yeah. When looking back on Dragon Age Veilguard, is there any part you wish that you could have spent more time on? For me, it's about the Antam and their split from the rest of the Qunari. There are elements of that story in both the Crow's content and in Tasha's personal quest, but in a dream world, having the Ben Hashrath as an additional faction, albeit one you don't know if you can trust, would have been nice. And for myself, I certainly share some of the desires the community has, going deeper on romances. And more choices to import. You made the game. You made the game. I wish we had spent more time in actually making the game good, but you know, to each its own. I love our choices and consequences in the game already. What choices and consequences, and maybe we could have added a few more on the scale of being rather Trevisus's choice. That significantly altered the remainder of the game. I think we learned how to make that work within our game flow and content structure. You don't get to do that. That's the thing, right? I understand if you're an indie like studio and you're making your first game and you have a vision, right? Let's say like No Man's Sky, first ever IP that you're releasing for the world to see. There's a lot of hype, you know what I mean? And there's a lot that you want to do, but you don't have the money, you don't have the manpower, you don't have the time to do it. The game flops, okay? But you learn from it. You learn from this experience and you actually put time and effort into making the game of, you know, that you visualized in the beginning. And that's what happened with No Man's Sky. You don't have the same, like, benefit of the doubt as No Man's Sky did. Because first of all, you are bio-ware and you are EA. You have the money, you have the time. What you don't have is the talent. And what you don't get to do is like release a game like this that is absolutely terrible and be like, okay, now that we have learned what doesn't work, we're going to do this again and we're going to ask for money again. You're scamming people. You don't get to do that. You're not in the position where you can say, oh, we have learned from this. We have learned what works and what doesn't and what people like and they don't. And we're going to do this. We're going to give it another go. No, you have ruined this story. You have ruined the characters. Even if you did a next installment of Dragon Age and it was 10 times better than Veilguard, you would have to build upon the fucking ashes of Thedas. It would have to build upon the ashes of years and decades of lore and world building that you guys wiped your ass with, tossed in the fucking garbage bin, and then set on fire. So it wouldn't even be a Dragon Age game. It wouldn't be a Dragon Age game. So absolutely not. Absolutely not. You don't get to like shit on a fucking like legendary IP like Dragon Age and then be like, okay, now that we have learned, we can do this again. So I look forward to being able to lean in on these beats more heavily. That said, no artist or creator is ever going to be completely content with their work. You should never be content with what you put out because it's utter shit. And even so, when I take a step back and look at the game as a whole, I'm extremely proud of what we were able to accomplish. Absolutely garbage. Looking further, what parts of Thedas you personally want to explore? Rook feels more like a very special protagonist for Dragon Age. In the way how they're written. Ew. They're disgusting. I don't think it's any secret that I find the idea of what lies across the sea to be fascinating. It shows up a lot in Belara's content, what happened in the parts of the world that were in Thedas, but Kalsharok is another place I'd love to spend more time in. No, thank you. And don't go across the sea. What other player choices from Inquisition and Origins would you have liked to have implemented if you had more time and resources? Also, what characters would you have wanted to bring back? Yeah, Rook is special needs. Well of Sorrows, I think that's the biggest one, and we had some ideas for what we wanted to do with it. Unfortunately, making games is really a straight line endeavor, and some of the challenges we run into require us to scrap that choice. Not some challenges. You were, like, inept at your job as a writer, and you were incapable of looking back and tying what was established to your game. You had to sever all those ties and fucking tangle everything together into a fucking slop. That's what you did. I would like to do more with the Divine as well, though with how little we touch on Andrastism in this game, I think it would have been a bigger challenge than expected. You didn't touch on anything. You didn't touch on, on what happened, who's the Divine, what are their policies, what happened with the Circles of Magi, what happened with the Templars. You didn't touch on anything. What are you talking about? I think Fenris is the easy answer, but it's also the real one. Given his history, his relationship with Dorian in May could have been a fun to explore, particularly depending on how you left him in Dragon Age 2. That said, the challenge always does come to Quantum. If a character could be dead, you can make them load Baron and they end up relegated to a cameo. That's what you did with all the cameos in this. What features storylines were left on the cutting room floor? Follow up if you're feeling generous. How was the development of Veilguard viewed internally? Tightening up content and making cuts is a tough but typical part of game development. And a few of the biggest cuts, you cut off games. You didn't cut off, like, choices. You cut off Origins, Dragon Age 2, and Inquisition off the fucking board. And we're like, we don't have anything to work with now. We had to we're trimming down the faction story arcs and letting go of very explorable spaces. There were also a few areas like Blighted Waysapid that could have returned to and explore. In both cases, however, I believe we rightly opted to let go of this quest and areas in favor of increased focus on the quality of the existing faction quest. What quality? I'm done. I'm not gonna finish this entire fucking thing. If an elf were to say exist in the Fate for an extended period of time, would they regain the elven magic and immortality? I think at this point, no one really knows what's gonna happen to an elf who spends an extended time in the Fate. You should know this information. Again, you should know this. You should know. In part because the elves of today and the elves of Solas's past are not really the same at all, but also the Fate has changed since Solas was a spirit, so while he might have theories, he can say anything for certain. You literally don't know anything about your own fucking game. You don't know anything about your game. I'm done. My head fucking hurts, bro. No. Oh my god. What a fucking... That was crazy. The amount of copium that I just was subjected to. No wonder these people are fucking dumb as hell. Okay, I'm gonna go through some super chats. Adam with the 5 Varric is very conservatively for someone with, like, they claim has an OnlyFans account. They also claim that I should open an OnlyFans because that's the only thing that I'm good at, but somehow, they're not sexist or misogynistic. Kratos with the 5, well, Mythal was doing something when Solas found her, so maybe she sends some of her essence to Morrigan. Yeah, anything goes, I guess. Yeah, these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They were really hoping, in my opinion, that they could, like, get away with a lot of shit. Like, people were not gonna ask any questions, and they could, like, kind of, like, gloss over those plot holes and just maybe address them in, like, following, like, titles. It's not gonna happen. This is just a way to get people engaged in the topic of Dragon Age the Veilguard again. It's just a very poor attempt at, like, damage control in trying to boost up sales before the end of the year. It's upon them. It's not gonna work, obviously. There's too much, like, criticism and open just, like, a straight out gameplay of the game for people to be tricked in that way. Like, and the people that are already like engaging with them on Reddit have the game and have played it. So that's just ridiculous. Like, you're only gonna manage to appease the people that already paid you to begin with, but you're not gonna manage to get people like me or people like you who have seen Veilguard for what it is, which is an objectively terrible fucking game with terrible writing and very untalented people at the helm of the development of the game. And you're not gonna make us like change our minds. You're not gonna make us, you know, feel sorry for you or be like, well, they have plans for the future. I don't want you guys to have a future. You don't deserve a future in the industry. You don't deserve to keep dragging this fucking dead corpse through the mud and just milking this until it's fucking dry. It's just terrible. It's just, you guys should be embarrassed of what you've done. You should never work on an established IP ever again. You should learn from your mistakes. Pick up a fucking job at McDonald's, start flipping burgers and the like, you know what I mean? I don't even know if you're gonna be good enough to do that. And just learn from this, honestly, that people don't want you making video games. I don't want you making video games. You know, people say, oh, you talk for... I don't want you making video games. And I said it multiple times. If I see your fucking names on a video game, I'm not playing it. And I'm gonna tell people, hey, these people that made Veilguard and they wrote this character and they did this and they did that, they're working on this game. Make of that what you will. Because you guys are not good at your job. And I just feel like everything you touch turns into fucking shit. And if I can save people like $70, I will. If I can spread awareness and I can share my opinions exactly of why I think the game is bad and why I think it just shits on everything that has been established before and why it's objectively just like a terrible fucking like ending for a beloved franchise that has been like one of my like pillars of my core pillars for me as a person, and what got me, you know, into RPGs and got me into video games, and that got me into gaming, and that got me into, you know, like other communities and other like worlds and world building and lore. Is just terrible. Yeah, as someone mentioned, they also made the character creator free, as if that's gonna make people want to play the game. You should have done that before you release the game. Not that it would have done anything, but you should have done that before. And I'm assuming it's gonna be free only for a brief period of time. They're not gonna, you know, probably until the end of the year to see if that gets the sales numbers a little bit up. It's not gonna happen. I hope they lose their rights to the IP the same way that they lost their rights to Knights of the Old Republic. I hope Dragon Age, Dragon Age in general, maybe 10 years from now, gets picked up by a company that actually knows what they're doing and they reboot the entire thing. A girl can fucking dream, like, you know. Mass Effect is not looking good. I do believe Mass Effect is gonna be coming out because it's gonna be literally the last ditch effort of BioWare to stay in relevancy. I think Mass Effect is gonna do better sales wise than Veilguard did. I don't think it's gonna be a good game because a lot of people that were like developing for Dragon Age the Veilguard are working on Mass Effect. So I'm putting a pin on Exodus. I think Exodus, like the downfall of Exodus is gonna be the community. And I hope that they don't listen to no one. I'm not saying, oh, don't listen to the council, don't listen to certain content creators, listen to me. No, I'm not telling you to listen to me either. I'm telling you to like do your fucking job as a writer, as a developer, and just sit in your fucking studio and think among yourselves, okay? And make a good experience and a good story and a good game. Don't listen to like 5 people about what they want in a video game and put it in a video game and then fucking cry when the other 95% of the fucking population doesn't want to touch your fucking game with a 10-foot fucking stick. So, what else? Larian, I'm looking forward what Larian is doing. I'm looking forward to what Saber Interactive is doing. I don't know. I think we might be looking up in some areas. I hope that the RPG genre gets a rehaul and it just like more new blood starts to come out. Like I feel like Ubisoft, Bethesda, BioWare, EA, they need to get taken down a couple pegs because they have been at the top for years and they have gotten used to just selling shit and getting fucking sucked off for it, and it's not happening anymore. I sure hope that this entire like Gamergate situation and this culture war literally like brings back talent. Like it inspires like talented people regardless of what they look like, regardless of who they are, just like talented people to make games and get rewarded for their actually like skill and hard work, and that we stop just giving people fucking pins and little stars for just fitting us to like a set of requirements instead of like labels and identity and color and shit like that. The moment that happens, it's the moment that the video game industry has a chance to not fucking sink to the bottom of the barrel. But until then, I'm gonna continue talking about RPGs, especially. I'm gonna be playing other games, obviously, but my main like passion is I like RPGs, I like fantasy, I like sci-fi, I like to play them, I like to read them, I like to write them. So it's just what I'm more like comfortable, like giving my 2 cents about. I'm probably gonna be playing other games that are not looking good. I'm gonna be playing Avowed. I'm gonna be playing Indiana Jones if I can, because Indiana Jones is like looking very beefy. So I might have to buy a new fucking PC just to play Indiana Jones. It's not gonna happen. Or I'll just like let you guys get your information from someone else. You know what I mean? That's your fucking right as a person. You can do your own research. You can listen to someone else for their opinions about something, and then you can form your own fucking opinion about something. You know? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably gonna like call it right here. It's been a day, and this literally just has fucking given me a headache, the entire amount of copium. I think people need to wake up, honestly. It's not all about being hateful and being negative and wanting money, okay? I didn't start this for money. I didn't start this to be a famous YouTuber and for this and for that. That was never the case. I did this because I have always been incredibly like passionate about stories and how they made me feel in characters and how could I relate to them, and even if I couldn't relate to them, I could care about them and sympathize. And that has been lost, and it's just terrible. It's just I don't understand how we've gotten here and how people can just justify just getting scammed out of their money, honestly, by multi-billionaire companies, and then make everyone feel like they're the bullies. Like, oh, you're trying to pay for a good product and a product that you like, but that's somehow your fault. Or you're clapping back at professionals in the industry telling you to go fuck yourself and that it's not for you, you're not the target audience, don't buy it. And then you're also punished for fucking not buying said product. So which one is it? You either don't want us to buy the product and you're content with the sales that you have, or you're actually, as you should, try to aim for the larger audience and make the most amount of money, and then but you don't want it. You want all of it. You want to sell a lot of fucking copies, but also keep this moral high ground in this appearance of, oh, like I am a white savior, I'm doing this for the greater good, I'm changing the world one video game at a time. You are not changing anything. No one, not a single one of us is changing anything. And the only thing that you guys are managing to do, which is surprising that you guys not even be able to see that, is literally just fomenting segregation and hatred among like people that have different values and different opinions and different like genders and sexualities. You're just fomenting hatred, and that's not on us, that's on you. And yeah, I'm never gonna get to fucking Pillars 1. I'll do it tomorrow. 100%. Okay, I'll do it tomorrow, but I feel like this is something that we had to like see. This is just literally just like the last like breath of a dead IP, unfortunately. And I've told you guys that I did my grieving. I have already like all I have left is just disappointment and anger that it ended like this. Like, I never thought I would be alive in a timeline, in a universe, in a world where I would see Dragon Age die with a whimper. But I have, and I'm just absolutely over it, to be very fair with you. I was upset. I was very, very angry. I grieved it. It's dead to me. It doesn't matter that, you know, if they release fucking 15 more Dragon Ages in the next like 10 years, it is dead. And yeah, I'm just gonna pretend that it never happened, honestly, which is the best thing anyone can do at this point. And I hope that they, you know, that next year we see a shift in the video game industry. And I hope that games that are in development now, or they're like starting to get worked on now, don't follow the same like pattern of behavior, because we don't forget and we don't forgive. We are tired of doing either of those things. So yeah. Thank you, John, for the snack fund. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next year, to be very honest with you. I'm looking forward to the good and the bad. And I think it's very important that we also reward the good, right? I want to bring awareness to good games as well. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of those. I am going to be trying out Path of Exile 2. I'm going to be trying Kingdom Comes Deliverance 2. I'm going to be trying, what else? Monster Hunter Worlds. I think it's very important to bring awareness to that as well, so people know that there's a silver lining at the end of the day, that some companies and some studios and some people really just want to make good games. They just really just want to like sell a good time and get paid for it, which is fine, which just has been fine. It has been the quid pro quo the entire time, but hey. So that's gonna be it. That's gonna be for today. I'm sorry. I know that I promised Pillars of Eternity, but between the Kotaku fucking article and the copium that I just consumed in the fucking Dragon Age Reddit, I can barely sit up straight right now. Also, I think my voice is shot, which is nice. I think Hypnotic gave me something. Ew. Anyways, I love you guys. I don't know if I want to see you tomorrow, actually, because I have a family lunch. So I'm going to put a fucking pin on that. And I'm probably going to see you on Sunday. If I return tomorrow at a decent time and my family members don't want to, you know, don't make me want to kill myself, then we'll see each other tomorrow. If that's not the case, probably on Monday. We'll see. I'll let you know through the Discord. If you guys want to know what I'm doing, and you want announcements of whether I'm a streamer or not, or what I'm going to be doing next, or whose podcast I'm going to be on, which is going to be a lot of those. My December is pretty packed with podcast appearances. Let me tell you some of them. You guys want to hear them before I leave? Someone, okay, that I'm not very familiar with, but he's called the Arccast. He reached out to me to be on his podcast. Not, you know, not anytime soon, but I'm going to be appearing on his podcast. I'm also going to be appearing on Toasted's podcast, on World of Paradise, that's Leon. I'm going to be appearing in Atreus and Kata's podcast as well. Vara has reached out to me. It's not set on stone, but we might be doing a stream together soon-ish when she has free time. She will tell me the date as well, so that might be something as well. So I'm pretty booked. your girl, it's booked. So you have that to look forward to. Again, we will be playing Pillars of Eternity soon, I promise you. And yeah, bye-bye. Have a good weekend. I sure hope you do. Have a good weekend. I will try my best. And yeah, see you on Monday most likely. Bye-bye.